Today, we finally witnessed the changing of the guard. At just 24 years old, Chase Elliott is your newest NASCAR Cup Series champion. How's it going, everyone? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. Feeling many emotions right now, really all throughout this race, but especially watching post-race there and after the checkered flag. So many storylines today. A lot of first championship race at Phoenix, several drivers looking for their first NASCAR Cup championship, but a lot of lasts as well, and most notably Jimmie Johnson's final race as a full-time driver ran great. We'll talk about that. Last race for Clint Bowyer before he joins TV next year. Possibly the last race, maybe finally, for Matt Kenseth, the NASCAR champion himself. Last race for the 88 car, at least for the time being. Last race for some race teams, unfortunately. It was an emotional day, but really all the emotions seem to hit after the checkered flag, after Chase Elliott collects his first NASCAR Cup Series championship. Got to celebrate with his father, NASCAR champion and Hall of Famer Bill Elliott. Got to celebrate at the start-finish line with his team owner Rick Hendrick. Jimmie Johnson, of course, who finished top 5 himself. And the roar of roughly 9,000 fans out in Phoenix really sounded like a full house. Really sounded close to a packed house, which was a welcome sound after a year in which the grandstands unfortunately fell mostly empty across the country this season. Really an incredible day for NASCAR fans, even if you're not a Chase Elliott or a Hendrick fan. That post-race celebration was just full of million-dollar shots. So many beautiful scenes to witness. So we're going to talk all about that here in today's race. We're going to talk about the highly contested championship battle. We'll talk about some of those other storylines I just hit on. At the end, of course, we will put this race on the Groovy gauge. But before we get to everything here in our final race review edition of Out of the Groove of 2020, we have to thank today's sponsor, WeatherTech. WeatherTech is best known for their laser-measured, custom-cut floor liners. They sent me a complete custom-made set for my own car. WeatherTech floor liners guarantee absolute protection, super durable, super easy to clean, super easy to install. That's what I'm saying. These things are cut custom for your vehicle. Front seat, back seat, driver side, passenger side, they do it all and much, much more. If you head to weathertech.com, you can see the many, many products that WeatherTech offers. Just in time for the holidays, head to weathertech.com to find exactly what your car needs. A big thank you to WeatherTech for sponsoring this episode of Out of the Groove. Where do we start with this episode? This felt like maybe the most competitive championship race since this format was basically introduced in 2014. Of all the years of having a championship four and a winner-take-all race, this just felt super competitive. All 4 championship contenders basically made up the top 4 throughout the entirety of the race. All 312 laps. I don't think any of the championship 4 drivers spent more than like a couple of laps outside of the top 5. Joey Logano dominated stage 1 with Chase Elliott having to start at the rear for failing pre-race inspection twice. Elliott sliced and diced his way through the field in absolutely no time at all. So by stage 2, Chase Elliott was able to take the lead. Chase Elliott looked like he was going to run away with this thing. And then on the final lap of stage 2, Brad Keselowski comes out of nowhere to steal the stage win away. And then in stage 3, it really became Chase Elliott versus Joey Logano. Denny Hamlin never led laps tonight, but throughout all of stage 1, he was running second, a close second to Joey Logano. Seemed to maybe not keep up with the track as well as the other championship 4 contenders, because in stage 2 and 3, he spent most of the time running 3rd or 4th. But overall, the fact that those 4 championship contenders really never left the top 5. I mean, I'm trying to think whoever spoiled the part. Ryan Blaney spent some time up in the top 5. Kyle Busch was briefly up there. Jimmie Johnson was up in contention for a decent portion of the race, but I mean, nobody ever sniffed the lead besides the Championship 4 contenders. They kept talking about this on the broadcast, and I saw a lot of people raising questions on social media, like, how is it possible that these 4 guys are so much better than the rest of the field? And to me, there's no, gamesmanship here. I think those were just the 4 best cars. I mean, they mentioned this on the broadcast and beforehand. Hendrick Motorsports built a brand new car for Chase Elliott to bring to Phoenix this year. Denny Hamlin's car today was a brand new car that Joe Gibbs Racing poured all of its attention into. And Brad Keselowski brought the same car he won Loudon and Richmond with earlier this year, so that's an obvious winner. Logano was driving the same car he won Phoenix with back in March, so clearly the 4 cars that those drivers chose to bring to the track today were the absolute best of the best, the absolute best their race teams had to offer. So it's really no surprise that, of course, those 4 ended up at the front of the field. I mean, sure, there's maybe a small difference in how the rest of the field races them. Maybe they aren't going to race those guys quite as aggressively. They don't want to accidentally alter the outcome of the championship. But really, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Denny Hamlin just were the 4 best drivers, cars, and teams all throughout today's race. So let's focus on the finish because Chase Elliott basically drove off and hid the last 30 or 40 laps. He gave Joey Logano maybe a slight nudge heading into turn 3 and was able to pass the 22 car with less than 50 laps to go. That ultimately was the deciding moment of this race. Unlike Friday and Saturday's truck and Xfinity races, there was no late race caution, there was no final chaotic overtime restart. So Chase Elliott was able to drive off and hide as Joey Logano's car kind of went away. Brad Keselowski actually ended up finishing second. And let's talk about Brad Keselowski because where this race, in my opinion, was really won/lost was during the final sequence of green flag pit stops. And you could argue actually this race was lost, at least by Brad Keselowski, at the very beginning of stage 3. Remember I said Brad Keselowski stole the win of stage 2 away from Chase Elliott on the final lap. He was leading the field down pit road at the beginning of stage 3, but as was unfortunately a common theme throughout the race, Brad Keselowski's pit crew just dropped the ball. At least 3 different times I counted, Brad Keselowski's pit crew lost him multiple positions during a cycle of pit stops. Once at the very end during that final cycle of green flag pit stops when Keselowski's team had a roughly 14.8 second pit stop compared to Chase Elliott and Joey Logano in the 13-12 second bracket. That's just too much time to be giving up on pit road consistently every single trip into your pit box. That's just unexcusable. You're not going to be able to win a championship in a race like this if your pit crew is dropping the ball that heavily. NBC noted that Brad Keselowski's pit crew tonight was actually the same pit crew that pit Austin Cindric in yesterday's Xfinity race. Cindric obviously went on to win the championship yesterday, so I don't know what changed between yesterday and today. Maybe they're up late partying, they're celebrating their victory last night, I don't know, and just woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. I don't know what happened. It looked like the rear tire changer seemed to have most of the issues on Keselowski's team, but really that pit stop at the beginning of stage 3 where Keselowski went in first, came out 5th, that really cost him any shot at the victory because I think he did have the best long run car in this race, and the race ended with a couple long green flag runs, so that might have played into Keselowski's hands, but he could not make up that track position. Even those final green flag pit stops with like 50 something laps to go, Keselowski was 1 second behind Chase Elliott when they began pit stops. By the end of pit stops, Logano had the lead, Chase was second, and then Keselowski was like a whole straightaway back. Like he lost like 3 seconds during that exchange, and that was all on the pit crew. So that was really the deciding moment of this race, were those 2 bad pit stops from Keselowski's team basically taking the race out of his hands. But I do not want to take away from Chase Elliott because there's still no guarantee that Brad Keselowski was going to be able to run down and let alone pass Chase Elliott. Passing was difficult all throughout this race. Ultimately, the 2 Team Penske drivers came up just a little bit short. Denny Hamlin was just a little bit further behind them. A very disappointing day for Joe Gibbs Racing. Hamlin pointed it out in his post-race interview. He finished 4th. The next highest JGR driver finished 10th. So the Gibbs cars just dropped the ball entirely. That was disappointing. But ultimately, when it was all said and done, Chase Elliott is now a NASCAR Cup Series champion. What a big moment for the sport. This cannot be understated. Remember 3 years ago, it was basically the start of the 2018 season. NASCAR and Fox and all their partners were hyping up, the changing of the guard, the youth movement. Look at these new young guns. Chase Elliott, William Byron, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney. Look at them. They're taking the world by storm. Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. They're going to be great. They're going to be great. And then all of 2018 kind of came and went. And remember 2018, it was all about Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, the veteran drivers dominated that entire season. The young drivers had no match for them. Finally, took almost 3 years, but finally, the youth movement may have arrived, at least somewhat. Chase Elliott all along, since he jumped into the NASCAR Cup Series full-time in 2016 and won Rookie of the Year, there has been a heightened sense of expectations around Chase Elliott, being the son of Bill Elliott, being now a, 3-time most popular driver since 2018? All along, Chase Elliott has been expected to lead this new youth movement. Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, they've all been good, and they all have high expectations behind them as well, but most of the attention has been given to Chase Elliott. And through 2016, 2017, and most of 2018, Chase Elliott was struggling to deliver on those expectations. He was consistent making the playoffs, but wasn't winning races, and in fact often would find ways to lose races. See Dover 2017. But late in 2018, he finally broke through, got some victories. He won more races in 2019, and in 2020, with the win today, he finishes the year with a career high 5 victories. That's a really, really good number no matter how much experience you have. This year, Chase Elliott proved that he is the best driver in the NASCAR Cup Series at road courses. He showed great leadership when he put the team on his back last week at Martinsville and willed them to a championship 4 spot. And today he showed great experience beyond his years, ran a beautiful race. Despite being put behind the 8 ball before the green flag even dropped, Chase Elliott, I said this last week, if it wasn't clear last week, it's definitely clear now, Chase Elliott has arrived. He is a NASCAR superstar, and at only age 24, this is just the beginning. And so I'll go back to what I said at the very beginning of this video. With past superstars like Jimmy Johnson, Clint Bowyer, and Matt Kenseth, running likely their final full-time NASCAR races today. The green flag has officially flown for what is likely going to be a tremendous new era of NASCAR racing. And NASCAR stars, led by none other than Chase Elliott. We all witnessed the changing of the guard firsthand on the front stretch after the checkered flag when Jimmie Johnson and Chase Elliott both did celebratory victory laps. Johnson and Elliott passing by each other looked like the passing of the torch. NASCAR has changed quite a bit the last several years, and that change is not slowing down. It is speeding up starting next year, and especially in 2022. New tracks next year, a new car in 2022, new engine possibly by 2023, new teams as early as next year, new drivers are on the way as well, and Chase Elliott is going to lead that new generation of drivers into the future. He's going to lead NASCAR into the future, and today was just a huge first step to making that happen. So congratulations to Chase Elliott. Happy day for a lot of NASCAR fans. I'm sure a lot of Chase Elliott fans out there. So really cool to see the celebration afterwards. Like I said, full of million-dollar moments. Those camera guys, I'm sure, got their money's worth some of the shots. Ooh. Really quick, let's look at the top finishers from today's race. I thought this was poetic. The championship 4 finish 1, 2, 3, 4 with Jimmie Johnson, the 7-time champion, in his final race, finishing 5th. That silver Ally car, can I just say, looked gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Kevin Harvick was quiet today, struggled with the handle early on. He ends up finishing 7th. A solid top 10 for William Byron. Remember, this is also Chad Knaus's final race as a crew chief. He will move into a competition role with Hendrick Motorsports next season, so great to see him go out with a top 10 as well. Clint Boyer, you see there, finishes 14th. Matt Kenseth ends up 25th. He had a flat tire early on, so those are the notable finishers from today's race at Phoenix. Gosh, I really don't know what else to say. Let's put this thing on the groovy gauge. This race certainly wasn't perfect, and it lacked some of the fireworks we'd seen in the Xfinity and Truck Series race. There really weren't any major incidents today. I mean, they had that one kind of phantom caution they threw out when Davison scraped the wall. You know, Kyle Busch got into the wall at one point. I don't know about anybody else. So it was a pretty quiet day. No real major incidents to be seen. Everyone was on their best behavior, so you'd think this would be a really boring race. Nobody really giving it 100% effort. Well, that really couldn't be further from the truth. The fact that the championship 4 were always draped on top of each other. I mean, the leader never got out by more than like a second until the very end when Chase Elliott drove off and hid. But for the majority of this race, you know, Logano had Denny Hamlin hounding him for 60 laps. Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski swapping the lead late in stage 2. I mean, there was a lot of great racing to be seen here today. I'm not sure how the PJ1 in the outside lanes of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 really affected today's race or helped it. Obviously, it became the preferred line pretty quick into a run, and it was very difficult to pass people on the bottom of the racetrack. So perhaps something could be adjusted on there. This was the same rules package, obviously, and the same tire combination that was run at Phoenix in March of this year. So maybe there was something a little bit different in how they applied the PJ1, because I did think today's race looked a little different than the spring race. Just a little bit, but not a bad race. Like I said, the main 4 competitors were on top of each other, trading positions back and forth throughout the entirety of the event. I was on the edge of my seat, and I'll admit, it did feel kind of good to see Chase Elliott win his first championship. I said earlier this week, I picked Brad Keselowski, but I even said it then, I think Chase Elliott would be the most interesting and intriguing winner if he did in fact win his first championship today, which he did, and I think it lived up to expectations with his father there, and you saw how much it meant to the entire crew, the team owner, Chase himself. For the second week in a row, we almost saw real emotion out of Chase Elliott. I mean, he had his hands over his eyes and stuff, but we almost saw a tear, almost. But no, Chase Elliott clearly meant a lot to him, so it was enjoyable watching Chase Elliott get his first win, or first championship. I'm not gonna lie. So while the very end of the race wasn't super exciting, that was really cool to see. I'm giving today's race at Phoenix a 90%. I thought it was very good. Everything you could hope for out of a championship NASCAR race. Nothing screwy messing with any of the championship contenders, just great, hard racing between 4 of the best drivers all season long, and Chase Elliott, the 24-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia, got the job done. Great race. Great end to a crazy season. Let me know what score you would give today's race on your own groovy gauges. That is really going to do it for this episode. Again, a big thank you to WeatherTech for sponsoring this episode. Check them out at weathertech.com, link in the description. And I do want to say a huge thank you to all of you who have watched these race reviews throughout this year. This channel, this show, Out of the Groove, has experienced tremendous growth in 2020, and that really is thanks to all of your support, so I greatly appreciate it. The show is not going anywhere. Even though the season is over and the winter is almost upon us, we're still gonna have plenty of things to talk about each and every week, so Out of the Groove is not going anywhere. We have some other exciting videos planned in the near future, and maybe some surprises this off season as well. We're ready to hit the ground running as fast as ever in 2021, but I just wanted to thank everyone for their tremendous support in 2020. It's obviously obviously not been a normal year for anyone, and obviously there's been a lot of tragedy in the world this year, but I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support this season. Hopefully 2021, things can get back on track. That is going to do it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, a big thank you to my tremendous Patreon supporters. You all have been with me every month throughout this year. It really blows my mind. I greatly appreciate the support. Plenty more to come this week and next. We're going to look back at the 2020 season and hit some of the key highlights. So those will be some exciting videos. We have a live stream this Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, the NASCAR Weekly Podcast Championship season finale. Might have some pretty interesting guests. Stay tuned for more announcements there. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you all again for all your support this year. Have a great rest of your weekend and take care.